Hi, everybody. Now, we're going to talk today about how to get an athletic scholarship in the 2024-2025 school year. So let's say you're a senior, or even if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior in high school, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I get on track? What do I need to do? And it all comes down to one word. So that's going to be our discussion today. Okay. And hi, everybody. It's me, Charles Norman, Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of Athletic SOS. It is a software in which in all of my videos that I do here, I give you guys a code that you can use it at absolutely no cost. And what it does is it takes your academic information, the sports you play, the level you believe you can play at the collegiate level, and then we show you all the schools you qualify for, and then we walk through what you need to do as an athlete to get the attention of the colleges that you're interested in, and then let them get interested in you, and then you guys sort of pair together. And it's a little bit different than the way you normally do it. We don't stop you from doing it the normal way. We're not a or, we're an and. So normally what you do is you go to you play your high school team, or you play a travel club team, or you go to a combine or a showcase. You go to some sort of event where those college coaches can find out who you are, where you are, and then they start to get interested in you, and then they start tracking you a little bit. You want to do that too. You do both, but what we want to do is give you an advantage for coming along with us on this journey, because our journey is a little bit different than how everybody else is doing it. Yes, we want you to get an athletic scholarship, but that's not where we're going with you as an athlete. What we really want you to do is we want you to leverage the fact that you play sports at a high level and you put that time and effort and work in, and you have that talent. How do we take that and make sure you have a remarkable life on top of it? That's really where we're going with our overall goal. And I know I get this all the time. I get a lot of emails and comments and anything that I do. Hey, just get to the point about how I get an athletic scholarship, and then I'll listen to your other stuff later. So I'm going to get to that right now. So what is that one word that kind of summarizes everything that you need to do? It's positioning. And if you guys have been following me at any time, I've talked about positioning over and over and over again, and I'm going to do it again in this one because I'm getting a lot of new people. And I'm also going to talk about the change that happened in 2020 as we move forward. College, and it's not going to be as bad this year, but 2025, 2026, we've got so much to do as we move forward to get prepared for that. But the world of college is about to change completely. And so college sports, I should say. And so let's talk about positioning and what that means. It means that there's all these people competing for these spots, right, to get the attention of the college coaches. How do you get it? How do you get that offer? How do you put yourself in position to get it past your competitors as other people that want those spots? And so let's talk about just the basics, the ones that I started this with years ago. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you took the right courses at your high school. And this is like really important. And it's the number one reason that kids don't get an athletic scholarship. They think they've got it, right? They've got good grades. They're taking some great AP and CP courses. You know, they're really ready to go to college. The family's all into it. They've been getting good grades their whole life. They play this sport at a high level. Everything seems to be clicking. But if you go to the NCAA website, and I want you to use NCAA instead of the NAIA website, go to NCAA, look at Division I. What do you need to qualify to play sports at the D1 level? So at the NCAA D1 schools, the best athletes usually play at that level. What do I need to do academically? Which classes do I need to take? How many years do I need of each subject matter that will give me the opportunity to play my first year at a D1 school? Because if you get that right, everything below that, NCAA Divisions 1, 2, and 3, NAIA Divisions 1 and 2, you should be fine. Talk to your counselor at school. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you're on track. And sometimes you can make some of these things up, but you have to know where you sit right now. And if you don't qualify for D1, do you qualify for D2 or D3 or NAIA? You need to check and see where you sit right now, so you know if you decide to use our software, which we give you at no cost. If you decide to use that to go research for schools, you know what kind of schools you're researching, okay? So that's number one, and it's the biggest reason kids miss out, and they're not in position, and they've done everything right, and they're like, how come I'm not getting any offers? Well, that college coach who may be interested in you, they're going to check and see if you're in position that they can even offer you. Why waste time, right? There's another kid almost exactly like you somewhere that they can just move over to that. Now, so that's number one. Number two, get your GPA up. Get your GPA at least to a 3.5. 3.5 and above, you can get a combination of academic and athletic money, and it makes a huge difference for that coach. And here's why. So let's say you're playing what we call an equivalency sport. Equivalency sport is anything that for boys or men, it's if it's not basketball or football, at the D1 level, you're not getting a full ride. Most likely, I'm just going to say most likely because there's always exceptions. If you're a girl, it's tennis, it's basketball, it's volleyball, and it's gymnastics. If you're not playing one of those four, and you can play at the D1 level, you're probably not going to get a full ride. So all the other sports, you're probably going to get a partial scholarship. And so now I'm a college coach, and my school costs $20,000, $40,000, $60,000 a year. And I'm coming to you and I'm saying, hey, I really want you to come play for us. And I'm looking at two kids, and one of them has a 3.8, 4.0, some really good GPA. And the other kid it's doing pretty good. They've got a 3.0, 3.2, 2.8 GPA. I really want this kid. But if I can get this kid that has the 3.8, the 4.0, I can go down to our admissions office and say, hey, I want to get this kid a partial athletic scholarship, and then I need you guys to work on getting them some academic money. And now if I come to you, it makes sense for you to come to my school if you're that second kid with the higher GPA, because I'm going to cover more of your costs to go to college. Is that making sense to everybody? So you're trying to give that college coach a reason to pick you over someone else. We're positioning ourselves. Plus, it's just a good idea to be a good student. And one of the things about being a good student, and I've listened to everybody that talks about trying to get kids, I mean, they've got all these think tanks, and there's all these committees and all these rules and all this kind of stuff. You only have to do a few things to get a good grade. You have to attend school. You have to get to school. You have to, when you're in the classroom, you make sure that you're paying attention and you're trying to learn one new thing. You're going to jot that down, whatever that new thing for that day in class. If you jot that down, you're paying attention anyway, right? And then the last thing is do your homework. And so if you do those three things, you will be fine. You'll be able to get a 3.5 GPA and above. And you got to do the extracurricular work, you know, your homework and all that kind of stuff. But if you do those other three things, you should be in great shape there. All right, so that's the second thing. Third thing, you're going to take the SAT and ACT. And I know the NCAA has changed their rules. You can now play even if you didn't take the SAT, ACT. Also, there's a lot of colleges that don't require it anymore. I know all of this stuff, but we're trying to put ourselves in position above the rest of the competition. And what I'm finding, and this year has been horrible for this, but a lot of the families, people have been reading articles, or they know just enough to know that you don't need it anymore to play. And so they're passing up on doing it. But what they missed out on is that the college didn't say that you don't need it to get admitted to the college. Yes, you can play sports without it, but there's some colleges that are saying, hey, you need to go take the SAT, ACT. We still use that as a requirement to get in our school. And I will tell you this, 2 years ago, it looked like it was going the other way where more and more schools were not asking for it. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's turned around. We're doing our update now. We'll be done in September. So even if you sign up now, I will have all the adjustments for all of the colleges in our software. We'll have it up and running in September. But you can still use it now. Hasn't been that many changes. There's a few schools that are dropping some sports. There's certain sports that I can see the trend is going away from it, and some other ones are coming back. And I'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But right now, I just want to keep this through this. So you're going to take the SAT and the ACT. Why take both, Charles, you're asking? Because there's certain schools that are looking at the SAT, and there's other schools that really emphasize the ACT, plus they're different tests. Even though they've kind of come back, it used to be really different, but most kids will do well on one and maybe not on the other. So you want to take both. We're just positioning. That's all we're doing, is we're getting ourselves in a better position than everybody else. Okay, so you're doing that. And then the next one is going to be, you have to get exposure. And so you have to play for your high school team. You need to play varsity. If you're not playing varsity, you're going to have to look at probably trying to go through a JC, and there's nothing wrong with that, or a community college. So there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're trying to get an athletic scholarship, then you're going to need to play at least varsity, at least your senior year, better by your junior year. And I always tell those, sometimes that's an equivalent. Now I know there's some differences, but if you're a freshman playing varsity, you probably can play at the D1 level in college. Depends on how big, if you're in some small school somewhere and they don't have that many kids, but if it's a pretty competitive school, you're probably in good shape. Same thing as a sophomore. Even as a junior, if you're playing varsity as a junior and you're actually getting playing time, you may be in good enough shape. If you just got to your senior year, you finally grew into your body, maybe your school was ultra competitive, That can happen too, but now you're there and you just need to have a good year, and you can do it also. I know everybody wants to go D1. I'm trying to let people understand that D2, D3, NAIA, these are great opportunities, because as you go out and you come out of school and you go into the job market, or you're trying to do something entrepreneurial, whatever you're trying to do in your life, the fact that you played sports at the collegiate level set you apart. I don't care what's happening. In fact, you'll be going to interviews and people will be asking more about that. It shows leadership. It shows that you are special. And I know everyone doesn't want to make it seem like that. Hey, if you're a straight A student, you're special. If you're really good in math or science or STEM or whatever it is you're doing, you play an instrument, all of those, they make you special too. But everything else I just talked about, for the most part, you can do, and there's not a limitation on the number of people that get to do it. But it's sports. There's only so many people on the team. There's only so many people that can play at that level. There's only so much space compared with the number of people that participate in sports. So that's a big, big deal. There's 8 million kids that play high school sports. There's about 450,000 spots at the collegiate level. And if you take that and divide it by the years, the freshman year, there's only a quarter of those spots available. And so it sounds daunting, but most people, those 4 things that I just told you about, they're not even doing. Right? They're not even in position to get the scholarship. That's why the numbers are really skewed. They always talk about only 1 to 5% of the kids get an athletic scholarship depending on the sport. But that's because most people aren't even in position to get that, let alone are good enough to play at that next level. So there's reasons behind numbers. I've been doing systems work for the past 35, 40 years. So I understand statistics. They can make it sound anyway, but it depends on how you're looking at it. And so I just want to get you guys to thinking a little bit different than everybody else. Think beyond what everybody else is doing. And then the final piece for this, and this is just me being a little bit self-serving here, but instead of waiting to get discovered, I want you guys to use our software. So down below, I give you a code. I give you instructions for using the code. It's called Athletic SOS. You cannot buy your way in. You can't get anything. We work with outside institutions and organizations and things like that. We work with them because they're already working with athletes, and so we go through them. So I don't advertise. You won't see us advertising. If you didn't happen to catch this video, then you wouldn't even know our software existed unless someone else gave you a code to use it. But I give you a code because you're sitting here listening to me babble in the park early in the morning. All right. So use the code. And so what you're doing now is you're going to try to find the schools that fit you, that offer your sport at the level you can participate. You're going to let those coaches, and we tell you how to do it, you're going to let those college coaches know you're interested and you're in position to be able to do everything that you need to do. And you're going, to get into their school, and then they're going to come look at you. And so you're going to be in great shape. You set yourself apart. And then there's one last piece for this that you need to get into. You need to get into the NCAA and the NAIA. You need to go to their websites and get into their programs so that you already have, you're set up, because they're going to tell you whether or not you're in position. And what's going to happen is that the college coaches are going to go check to see if you're in there. So even if you're a freshman, you're a sophomore, you're not even ready to go yet, they're going to look to see if you're serious about going. So you need to go to the NCAA website, and if you sign up for Athletic SOS, we have a link to it inside our software, and then go to the NAIA, get in both of their centers so that you can be in position to let the coaches know you're ready to go, and you will know whether or not you're in great position to be ready to accept an athletic scholarship offer. All right, so those are the pieces of the puzzle that are actionable, that you can do, will set you apart. And so go do those things, right? So we're ready to go. Now, let's talk about what I have a passion for on this thing. And so we also want to position you a little bit different. It's interesting, the last year or so, I get invited to a lot of things. I do a lot of talks. And I'm seeing the anxiety in the face of a lot of parents, especially the parents with younger kids. I've been doing some talks now with some younger families with their kids are, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And so I can see the anxiety, the job market. It feels like the economy is tightening up on everybody. Everything seems like it costs so much, especially surrounding sports. And you have to do it. You have to put your kids in it, right? Otherwise, they don't get a chance to participate. So some of the things that I want you guys to be thinking about is you're positioning yourself. Remember, I told you, I want you guys to have a remarkable life because you're a good athlete. And so one of the things that's really important for you guys, especially in the high school world, you've got to play against competition that can play at the collegiate level also. Those college coaches need to see that, yes, you can play. I know you're good on your high school team. You need to be the star on that team, even to be to qualify to get an athletic scholarship, that they would even want you, right? You need to be a star there at some point. You need to be a leader on that team at some point. But I need to see you play against other competition that can play at the collegiate level, because there's something that people don't understand about sports. You could be as good as you want to be, but what happens when you play against somebody who's just as good as you? And not just if you play against somebody that's better than you, right? There's somebody that's really going high level. They're the best of the best. Can you hold your own? Yes, they may beat you. They may be a little bit better, but you don't let them dominate you, that you hold your own at that point. That goes a long way, because college coaches know if I can get you there and you got the heart to stick your head in there, stick your nose in there, to stand toe-to-toe with someone that may be better trained, a little bit bigger body already, that they're a little bit more advanced than you, but you hold your own, that's an important piece for them. Also, when you play against kids that can play at the collegiate level, you're sharpening yourself, right? Iron sharpens iron, and you're going to get better. The game moves a little bit faster. People are moving. They already understand the game. They don't just play the game. All of those things, you'll start picking it up too. It's almost like osmosis, right? You just sort of blend in. You don't even know what's happening to you, but you start to pick up that world, that thought process. The coaching seems to be a little bit better. So that's that travel club. You're part of a group or something like that. You're getting trained by the best of the best trainers. All of those sort of things. Those are things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to seek out those things. One of the biggest things that happen to a lot of kids, especially if they're in a rural area or in an area where there's not that much competition in their area, they get really comfortable because you can put up big numbers and it feels good. And it's not until you go someplace where you see the other kids that are just as good as you, and trust me, they are around, are better than you, and you go, I'm way behind. And the coaches see it too. But if you've got the talent, you've got the talent. So that's one of the things I want you guys to do. I want you to try to find these programs and things like that that you can go and play against and perform against high-level competition, because there's a nervousness that comes when you know you can be beaten. And people don't think about these things, but the college coaches do. They see that. So you don't perform quite as well. If you're in a race, you're running, or you're in any competition, when you know that other person has a better score than you, you think you're pretty fast and you think you can get there. Now you got to be the best of your best. And a lot of people falter at those moments. Coaches want to see the kids that don't falter. So those are some of the things you want to do. The next thing is we're trying to also put yourself in position to, what else are you? You're an athlete. One of the greatest things about being an athlete, especially a youth athlete, is you get access to places other people don't. You're going places to go to competition and do things like that. So as a parent, you want to make sure, but as a kid, who are you? What are you trying to do? What are things have you tried out to see where your talents really lie? And so once you know what that is and what you're leaning to, and you may change later, but we want you to start looking into those things a little bit more as you're visiting these different places to participate and play, and you're in these environments and you're getting all this access. Take the time to go and visit and get a little bit deeper into what you're trying to do. We're trying to figure out who you are as a human being, as a person, as an individual. We already know where you're trying to go as an athlete. We know what you're trying to do as an athlete. So that's the other thing I want you to do as you go on this journey. And I'm just touching these things right now. I'm going to dig into them a little bit heavier as we move forward. I hope you guys will come and subscribe to our channel and kind of follow along with us. And so you want to do that. And then the next thing I want you guys to start thinking about is learning how to network. So you're going to these events and all these other athletes are there, right? And so one of the things people that don't recognize is that how isolating being a really good athlete is, especially in the youth world. Everybody's got all these expectations from your parents, the coaches, the other players on your team. If you're in a team sport, people recognize that you're good. So if you falter even a little bit, they're like disappointed. What's wrong with you today? How come you didn't, play your best of your best? And it's a very lonely, isolating piece of life, especially for a young kid to figure it out. So many expectations. But you're around other kids that have the same thing that you have. You need to get in contact with them. You guys need to start exchanging numbers. I know you're competing against them, but there's always downtime. Remember, even your competitors can still be your allies in other areas of life. And so this is going to be really important as you move through your world, because the person that you met at 10, at 15 years old, at 17 years old, may end up at 25, 26, 27 saying, hey, remember we played together, we played against each other forever. Hey, let's go do something, because your personalities click. The other thing is you guys can talk on the phone. You can communicate. Well, talk on the phone. You see how old I am. But whatever you guys do now, you can communicate with each other and talk about what's going on. And I think this is especially important for young men. I see a lot of young men really get isolated and they don't want to be embarrassed, and we've just got a different mentality on stuff. It's time for you guys to start communicating, especially with your peers, especially in the athletic world. Nobody else understands what you're going through more than you do, and you guys need to get together and get some of that stuff off your chest. Yes, it's important for the young ladies too, but for the young men, there's a big tendency to get really down on yourself, get disappointed in yourself. Other people get disappointed in you, and I think some of it is because if you're a young man and you can play sports really well, there's a lot of money to be made in those industries. And so everybody's kind of dependent on you. You can feel it. There's a little bit of pressure there. This is for adults. Start thinking about these things for your kid. Is this how you want your kid to be feeling all the time? And they won't say anything, especially young men, but they do say stuff to me for some reason. They're trying to figure out, what's the angle? What should I do? How do I get there? And it always feels like you're one step behind everybody else, but you're fine. I promise you guys, you're doing a great job. So get in touch with those people and you position yourself so that later on, when you're done playing, at some point, it's going to end. At that point, what are you going to do next? And then I'm going to just throw this final one in. Otherwise, I'll make this video too long. You guys need to understand, this is for your parents and it's for the kids. The world has changed. I'm telling you, 2020 just accelerated. It was already happening. So you're gonna try to play high school. You're gonna get good grades. You're gonna try to go to college. You're gonna try to play sports in college. All of this stuff you're gonna try to do. All these things are setting you apart. And when you come out of school, you're probably gonna go work for somebody else. You're gonna try to find a job. You're gonna start your life, right? You need money to start your life. And so what we want to do is that is the pattern it's been for the last 100 years or so. But the world changed in 2020 to where you're going to have to do something else. If you want to exceed in life, and I tell everybody this all the time because I was the middle class person. You either want to be broke and everybody's giving you stuff. If you want to live that world, have at it. I don't recommend it, but a lot of people are going that world. They just want to give up. And there's a ton of people that will do that. And then there's people up here that just have so much going on, and for some reason they got there and you don't know why. And trust me, I hang around with a lot of people with a lot of money now. Not that I have it, but I get to get in those rooms because of the software. And these people, there's something that happened for them that got them to where they want to be. You just want to be in position to be able to accept that or see that, or they want to help you out with that too. So there's that world. But where you don't want to be caught is in the middle, because someone else controls your fate. If you have a job, someone can fire you. If you have, if you're doing something that makes middle class type of money, it can be taken away so easy. So you're going to go through these motions that society is saying you need to go through. But what you want to do is you want to have an and. You want to have something else. You're an athlete and that something else is going to be. And I want you guys to start doing this now. I want you to start filming your workouts. I want you to start talking to the camera. I want you to start getting your social media up. Get your parents' permission, obviously. And then what you're doing is you're starting to build now. It takes 7 to 10 years to really build an audience, people that will follow you. And so by the time you get to college, you know the NIL is there. They're going to be able to start paying players. I'll get into all that later in college. All these things are coming in college. But when you get there, you want to already have your own audience. You want to start building from there so you have this separate thing that's going on. And then we want you to build also and do some other entrepreneurial stuff. But these are your people that are following you. They want to see your journey. Start that now. And that is you preparing and being ahead of everybody else. All this is positioning. So we talked about positioning to get the athletic scholarship. Now I'm talking about you positioning to have a remarkable life. It's available to you guys. And because you're athletes, it's even more available. You have more access. You have more opportunity than everyone else. And I'm hoping I'm driving that. So those are the things that I kind of wanted to get out in this one. I didn't want to overdo it. I have a tendency to get excited about this thing. I know what you guys are trying to accomplish. I know you want to be athletes, but that's just part of who you guys are. You're an athlete and what's your and then let's get this athletic stuff together. Final thing, I promise. Final thing. People always say, what gives me the best opportunity to get this athletic scholarship or do really well? You have to be the best version of you at your sport. There's something special about you. I call it being comparably incomparable. And what I'm saying is a college coach has to see and say, hey, this kid reminds me of this, or this is what I need, but you don't do it exactly like somebody else did it. You have to do it like you do it. And so pay attention to that. And one of the ways you can do that is how are you, and this is in life, it's in sports, it's in everything you do. How are you valuable to that other person? Can you be of value to them? If you can be of value to them, at some point they will let you in the room, you get to participate, and then you get to go from there and grow whatever you want to do after that. And that's the same thing for you as adults and business owners. I know I get a lot of people that are in the sports world that kind of watch what we're doing. What do you have that's valuable to somebody else that you want to get involved with, that you're trying to connect with? Not what can they do for you, not what do you have to offer them that's such a great deal, but what can I do for you, that other person, to get me in the door? What do I have to, how can I be valuable to them? If you think that way, it changes everything for you. All right, now I am actually finished. So as always, you guys, best of luck to you in everything you do. Use the Athletic SOS software. Nobody else is going to give you this code unless we're partnered with them. And so I give it to you here. It's down below in the description. I give you the code. I give you the instructions for how to use the code. It's absolutely no cost to you guys. And I wish you guys all the best in all your endeavors. Talk to you guys later. Bye.